Hello and thanks for checking out TheChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. Sign up for a 1-week free trial, no credit card required, for access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Hello everyone, happy holidays, wonderful week for the Canadian MJ space. The video from last week, if you have not seen it, I suggest watching it just as a bit of a review because it played out perfectly in terms of equilibrium pattern on weed breaking and giving us an easy entry. And when I say easy, I mean if you are used to technical analysis, this is more confident than you can possibly be making an entry, and all you have to do is just sit back and wait from there as we hit an all-time high, which is exactly what happened. So we're going to be looking at WEED, APH, ACB, MJ, EMH, and CBW. And those smaller names are names that I look at just in terms of what is being talked about the most and traded the most in the chat room. So looking at WEED, we had the clear equilibrium pattern highlighted in the last video. The break that the bulls were looking for, the early signal was 1975. The secondary signal was 2019. And then the clear signal was 2035. So pretty much, you know, the story of the three bears, whether you want to be the highest risk, medium risk, or lowest risk, and you're also exchanging the amount of reward you get depending on which entry you choose. So it all depends on your style. Personally, I entered on the 2019 break, and then I became a swing trader, and I held it for all-time highs, which we got. I ended up selling on Wednesday on this pullback day. We had that article, you know, a silly article, but the market is definitely responsive to short-term events. And in my opinion, some of that pullback, I didn't think we would have a significant pullback in relation to that. But once the profit taking from the all-time high started, it became clear that that was likely a reason that we saw that. But the bulls formed an inside bar and then broke out to new higher highs. So this week I traded WEED on that bull break, held it for multiple days, locked in a nice 7.5+%. And then moved on to APH, and then moved on to ACB on Friday. So the opportunity has been there, and going to look at some little details about things. But where we stand right now for WEED, the bulls are just fine. And we did see an upper wick of some profit taking heading into the weekend, the long weekend. We don't have trading in Canada on Monday. Keep in mind, if you are in the US tickers, we are, actually, no, I take that back. We're closed Monday as well. So scratch that. So we are looking on Tuesday to see if the bulls can continue to close above the upper Bollinger Band and continue to remain in breakout mode. So I'm looking at resistance of 2378 that the bulls are trying to break. Then we're looking at 24 psychological. In order for the bulls to keep their strongest, we need to look at the shorter term time frames. So checking out, and I got a chart pulled up on APH already, but let's look at WEED shorter term time frames, 15-minute chart. So this is a healthy consolidation pattern, and I can tell just by the shape of this 15-minute pattern that if I zoom into the hourly, it's going to be a bull flag. So it's healthy pullback. At this point, the bulls would love to hold the low of this consolidation, 2280 on Tuesday. If we do that, the odds of a new all-time high are very likely. If we do not hold 2280, the next support is down at 2237, so it could be a ways down before the bulls are able to turn things back around again. So that's what we're keeping an eye on, healthy consolidation at this point for WEED, and looking for new all-time highs this coming week. Unless Tuesday, first thing, we break this support, that would tell us the daily consolidation is approaching, and we have to be patient while we wait for the bulls to show up. So APH had some interesting action this week as well. It was a bit of a laggard. WEED clearly showed bullish action, and then APH was a bit of a laggard. So the all-time high was 1518. We did get that on Friday, and I made my entry into APH on Thursday and held into Friday and sold on Friday before flipping into ACB. Again, I'm all over the place, but the bulls with that new all-time high, very strong. There were some couple notable differences by looking at the shorter term timeframes that you could have picked up this past week. The first one on APH is here on the shorter term time frame. So here what I was looking at on the 5-minute chart was a spike in volume, and it seemed very odd the way it played out. So my interpretation and opinion of what happened is we had a test of the $15 psychological resistance. We had a trader make a market buy with a very significant amount of shares, looking at about 140,000 shares into that wall of resistance. And that should have been enough to clear it. but there was a hidden wall. And what I mean by that is you can't see the entire amount of shares on level 2 and on the bid and the ask. So, you know, if it says we have 100,000 shares on the ask and someone hits it for 120,000 shares and it doesn't budge, that's a very notable distinction to make, because it tells you that there's more shares hiding there than that are being shown. And in that scenario, we got rejected. So whoever made that market buy was obviously anticipating that 15 would break. We'd make a new run to the all-time high right then and there, and they'd make a very quick, you know, 2% on their very significant sizable position. That did not happen. We rejected and we started pulling back. So look at this volume spike and then look at this dump spike. In my opinion, this is the same trader saying, uh-oh, that didn't go according to plan. We were supposed to break to all-time highs there. And now I'm slowly seeing my profit, or slowly seeing my position go into the red. And they bailed with a market order. Pretty similar size volume. Obviously, a lot of other stops were triggered on the way down. But look at the volume bars that are very notable, and look at the action. It was a market buy and then a market sell. In my opinion, that is the same person. So from that information, we can gather, okay, that's a very singular event that is not market wide. I was checking WEED and other names for correlation. They saw a small pullback here, but they did not see this kind of dump. So that told me APH, something is going on. One trader just affected the charts. I think the market is going to recover from that. So I watched this 15-minute time frame, higher low, lower high, tightening pattern, and as soon as we formed a higher low and a higher high, I got back in because I did get stopped out on this as well. But it was recognizing to get back in by what was happening and why we dumped that allowed me to get back in and then enjoy some profit into the end of the day. Another pattern we're noticing is the start of the days when we're in blue sky breakout. We've been used to in the past, you know, a blue sky breakout, strong close, we gap up, and then the play is to sell the gap up and then reload. We're not getting those gap ups. What we're getting is an open, a small push up, and then a pretty quick pullback that is convincing a lot of people to sell. And that is what we saw happen on Thursday. Just looking at Thursday's action with the red day when we had all-time highs for WEED, and we pulled back. And then even on Friday, we had an initial pullback before the bulls really turned it around and gained momentum. So again, it's just noticing these little shifts on how things are happening consistently. We're not seeing the gap and sell off pattern that we saw so often back earlier this year, but we are seeing a quick dip first thing, a dip buying opportunity, and then continuation to higher highs. So where we stand for APH, we got the new all-time high Friday, little bit of profit taking into the end of the day. 1565 is our new resistance. And again, we look at the shorter term time frames, the 15-minute chart. Here's the consolidation. It's an equilibrium pattern with our high, low of the pullback, lower high, higher low. Right now, the range 1521 breaking would be bearish, and 1555 breaking would be bullish heading into Tuesday. I like this pattern a little bit more than WEED on the 15-minute time frame because it is such a clear equilibrium pattern that we should see break. ACB was another beautiful entry, and all week we were saying, okay, ACB is not doing anything. And, you know, the people that were in it were certainly frustrated watching the other names run. But those of us that were in the other names are saying this is perfect because we're going to play WEED's all-time high blue sky breakout, and then we're going to jump in on ACB after we sell that bull move on WEED, and it'll be ACB's turn. So what I was watching on ACB was the daily equilibrium pattern, same as WEED, that has not even broken yet, but it gave us a clear bull signal on Friday. We had our high, low, lower high is $8, higher low, lower high, sideways, straight across trading. The bulls finally showed up with a volume spike on Friday. And what I was looking for on the shorter term time frames, back to that intraday chart, the 15-minute chart here, bulls showed up as soon as we saw a break. Look at the volume pour in here. The clear break for me, I was watching this 705 level on the 15-minute time frame. A later entry would have been 715, which was the high. And then we also had 718. So any of those levels you get in, you enjoy this big bull breakout. My volume was certainly a part of this right about here and enjoyed that end of the day. Just quick trade. And I actually sold half of my position on the bull move into the 730s, and I'm holding half of my position right now just in case we do see some strength heading into Tuesday morning. Support right now is 715. Healthy consolidation. You look at the hourly chart, and this is a potential bull flag as well. Declining bear volume, and bulls just looking for a higher low to form on the hourly. And the daily chart hasn't had a clear break of the equilibrium pattern yet. The initial break, the early break, was 719. So you could have acted on 719. The more conservative break is going to be at 747. So we have high, lower high, lower high, break of 747, and we're going to be looking back to $8 and then the all-time high. So ACB is without a doubt a laggard compared to AC or APH and WEED. And we're going to watch now to see if this momentum is going to finally get going to favor these bulls that have been stagnant for the last 4 or 5 days in a row. Definitely have to be aware that there is some headline risk with the drama and CMED. I personally am very turned off by this drama. I just want the companies to perform. I know they're trying to do their best, but at this point, it's a soap opera, and it's just such a turnoff. Just give me the charts and let's trade. Enough of all this bickering and back and forth. Anyways, MJN, let's look at the ACB weekly chart. ACB, very, very tight on the weekly chart. We have an inside bar that did break bearish by 1 penny. That's certainly not a very convincing break. It's just showing us the ranges are tightening and that we haven't had a clear bull break yet, which is why I do still have some potential hope for ACB this coming week. MJN, beautiful breakout. It has been directly correlated with WEED for a long time. Over the past couple months, I've been putting out these videos and highlighting MJN as my favorite low cap name only because of the charts. I have not compared the fundamentals in terms of, grow capacity and income and revenue and all that. I'm just looking at the charts, and months ago it told me that MJN was the strongest low cap name, and the correlation to WEED is certainly benefiting it. This is a beautiful breakout chart. Every time we establish support, we see bullish increasing volume for continuation. New all-time high Friday, 587. We're looking at $6 after that, and the weekly chart is just in full-on breakout mode. Very significant follow-through for the bulls. In terms of support, again, it's the same thing. You're zooming in, you're looking at the shorter term time frames. Where was our consolidation low at the end of the day on Friday? That was down at 561. So 561 is a key support that the bulls need to maintain to keep full control on Tuesday. EMH had been consolidating in a little bit of a concerning way. The first start of the consolidation was very bullish, holding exponential support. Then as we lost the exponential support, the volume started to increase. That's a little bit of a red flag and has us cautious, but the bulls defended this middle Bollinger Band in a big way with huge bull volume and a strong close. The bulls could not have hoped for a better day on Friday. And from the low of the day to the high, we saw over a 25-30% gain. So close at the high, we're looking at 512 and 548 as the only near-term resistances to be watching. And all-time high test entirely possible next week as well. This name has been on absolute fire for the last 2 months. We've gone from 146 up to $5. So well over 200%, keeping the bulls in full control. And we now have a very clear support level, 381 as a must hold, and the middle Bollinger Band as well. CBW, tons of attention this week. Look at the increasing bull volume, but also note the volume climax signaling the top. So the top of this move is in for now. We now need to consolidate. 167 is resistance. We're watching the daily upper Bollinger Band of support on Tuesday. What was the clue? Obviously getting way too overextended. We have a bearish reversal 3-gap up pattern, and it climaxed with a 4th gap up in a row. That tells us that the bulls are exhausting themselves to the upside, and they cannot keep that momentum up. So a 3-gap up pattern is a bearish reversal pattern, and it gets confirmed with a bearish reversal candlestick on the 4th day. And it took 1 extra day here, but we certainly got that bearish candlestick, and it closed near the low. So we're watching upper Bollinger Band support, 136, and then all the way down to 110. So an entry opportunity is approaching for CBW. We will form a higher low here on this consolidation, and definitely worth keeping an eye out, perhaps around the 120s for that entry opportunity. Weekly chart, very, very tight, clear bull break. Look at that volume compared to the volume we've seen in the history here. Very significant volume. So that's why it is worth looking for an entry opportunity once we do find our base of support. So that's what we've got as we head into the next week. We do have bulls with a lot of momentum out there. Keep an eye on ACB as a laggard play. A break of 747 will be a clear signal on ACB that we are going to play the laggard game and follow WEED's bull break towards that all-time high. I appreciate you watching. Happy holidays to you and yours, and we will see you next week.